Hi, our team chose the topic of trash management in Merida because we came to the conclusion that this service here in the city is underdeveloped, like totally underdeveloped, and it's affecting us. Like, we are not even talking about the process of the truck coming to your house and taking your garbage and getting into the landfill, but the whole process that comes after that. Like, we're talking that once the trash gets to the landfill, everything will go to waste. We don't have a separation process and like on the landfill. If you want to separate your things, it should be like on a independent side, because once it gets there, it will go to waste. That means we don't have a recycling process, so we're losing plastic, we're losing cans, we're losing cardboards, we're losing a lot of things that are getting literally waste that we could really use for us and for our environment, like principally. But okay, that's one problematic, but the other phase is the landfill. Like, we need to have clear that the landfill here in Merida, it's a literally it's a literal mountain of trash, and of course it has the layers to keep things sanitary, but the people that really lives near the zone, like, you could ask them and the smell, it's bad. Not a lot of them talk about the constant fires that go through, because we live in Merida and it's really hot in here, so having a fire on a literally mountain of trash, it's not that weird. Like, it's really common and it's happening a lot of times, more on the hot part of the year, which is almost all the year. So yeah. And another thing that affects us all, it's like the liberation of gases that maybe we don't feel it right now, but that's literally getting the heat worse. So, like, in conclusion, we could have a better system. And besides that problematic, we also need to speak about the social one, because it's not uncommon for us to see trash on, like, I'm pretty sure you can go outside your home, walk a little bit, turn around the corner and see a field or see a little park, like, full of little pieces of trash. And maybe not little, a lot of people that don't want to pay the service of throwing away things, they want to get rid of big stuff, big trash. You can find all of that trash on the street that, of course, is not going to get picked up by the trash truck, because it has a different way of recollection. So as a society, we need to put our manners in practice, because it's if the service is underdeveloped, or we are not helping that service to get better, we are getting it delayed, we are getting it worse. And we could change it with simple things, like taking care of our own trash, because that's all we are asking for.
We believe that culture is very important in the work of talking about the garbage problem, since we ourselves as a society have the habit of not respecting the spaces where the garbage collection is done or directly throwing it in the street. And that same behavior tends to be repeated by the people we are surrounded by. Since the moment a person does the action of throwing the garbage out of the window or not respecting the spaces for organic and inorganic, it's making other people do it too. And we are not saying that people think it's right, but when they see other people doing, they don't think that it's so morally wrong, and they do it again and again and again, which makes the problem bigger, because they are making other people not respect the same spaces, or don't help the hard work that is from the garbage collectors to do it. So we as a community have to start to make the practices of the garbage right, not only for ourselves to make the streets cleaner, also to help the people that it's working with the garbage to make easier the job, because we are so much people, and if one people start to collaborate, the other people will start to, and I think that is the best to make a habit of it.
Well, the first technique that we can use in interviews, by conducting in-depth interviews with individuals who are involved in trash management, such as waste collectors, policymakers, and community members, we can provide valuable insights into their experiences and perspectives on the issue. Then, in focus groups, by organizing these groups with stakeholders, we can help to identify common attitudes, beliefs, and concerns related to the trash management, and also they can generate ideas for possible solutions. In ethnography, by observing and immersing oneself in the daily lives of people involved in trash management, they can provide a deeper understanding of the social and cultural factors that influence trash management practices. Then, in case studies, by conducting in-depth studies of specific locations, such as cities or neighborhoods that have implemented successful trash management programs, can provide insights into the factors that contributed to their success. And finally, in document analysis, by examining documents such as reports, policy documents, and media coverage related to the trash management, they can provide insights into the historical, social, and political context of the issue, and the perspectives of various stakeholders also. When we apply to a social problem, in this case trash management, ethnography can provide valuable insights into the social and cultural factors that influence how people manage their waste. Here are some examples of how certain ethnographic techniques can be applied to this issue. First, in the participant observation, this technique involves observing and participating in the activities of a group or a community over an extended period. To apply this technique to trash management, we can spend time with the waste collectors, observing their work and understanding their daily routines and also their challenges. They could also participate in community cleanup activities to observe how people dispose to their waste and the challenges they face in the management of their trash. Another technique is the interviews. These are essential components of ethnographic research. They also involve engaging with individuals to understand their experiences, attitudes, and also their beliefs. In this case, for the social problem that is trash management, we can conduct interviews with community members, waste collectors, and policymakers to understand their perspective of this issue. And these interviews could provide insights into the challenges that different stakeholders face in management waste and the potential solutions they suggest also. Then is the technique of focus groups. These groups involve bringing together a small group of people to discuss a specific topic. In the context of trash management, we can organize focus groups with community members to discuss about their experiences and challenges by the management of their waste. These focus groups could help also by identifying common attitudes, beliefs, and concerns related to trash management and generate ideas for possible solutions.
So, here we go with the difficulties that we can find while making ethnographic research. So, as we know, ethnographic research can be a complex and challenging process. These type of researches, they are usual to find several type of problems during the way. One of the main difficulties is getting access to the society or community that you're trying to investigate. Usually some communities are really like enclosed, so they don't like foreign people to come in and make research because they don't trust you. So you gotta build and earn that trust so you can actually make the investigation that you need to do. So another important issue that you need to have really on point is the language barrier. Not everywhere in the world and not everyone speaks English or Spanish. So you do really need to keep a focus on that language barrier that maybe it's not in all places, but there are a lot of places where you can go. For example, if I go to a little town in Chiapas, I cannot go there speaking in English because a lot of people won't understand it. So my investigation is not going to be complete because not a lot of people speak English in that little town in Chiapas. So another really interesting point that we need to touch is the bias and subjectivity. So even though we as researchers have to be as partial as possible, sometimes it's inevitable that we have some type of bias. So we do really need to keep on point those biases that we have and try to go as clear to say something as possible, because we cannot go there and saying, oh well, I think this is done this way, and then the research that I'm making is wrong because it's not the way that I do it. So if we go and make a research out of a bias, then our research is not going to be right. We need to be completely objective on the research that we're doing. Another point that we need to touch is the time constraints. So we know that this type of research can be really time consuming because you actually need to go there and be taking notes, be in the field, have several interactions with the communities. So it isn't something that you can make in a time span of one day. You actually need like a month or more. So you really need to have a lot of time like focused on this project. And you also gotta keep in mind this is not going to be super quick. Maybe the first day or the first week you're not gonna be trusted, like we said on the first point. So there's not going to be a lot of information. So you need to actually be calm and patient with how the people in the community open up to you so you can gather the information. At the end, we have the interpretation of the researcher. As we said, even though we're gonna try to be as partial as possible, the human body and human mind is really complex because every single one of us has a different perspective. So we really do need to keep in mind that different perspectives are possible. So because of this, we need to actually make an immersion with several people so we can validate the point that we're making. So we can make sure that our investigation is not biased. And these are some of the problems that we can actually face during these investigations. However, there is a lot more. We do think that these are one of the most important that you need to keep in mind because, for example, if we go in and we don't know the language that is speak in the area, we're not going to be able to do anything. If we go in with a bias, then, well, our investigation is wrong. If we don't go with enough time, well, we're not going to get the amount of information that we wish to get, So it is really important to keep these points in mind before making an ethnographic research and be as mindful as possible of what you want to obtain before you actually go and do it.